Within Holland, we're doing a lot of big rollout projects.
Yeah.
We name it Connect and Go.
Yeah.
You're the guy selling it and
and inventing it.
and invented it.
Yeah.
So maybe I thought it was a good idea to have a discussion related to this service and explain to the audience what happens during Connect and Go. So, if you have a short pitch, the elevator pitch.
The elevator pitch. I guess it starts with the challenge that customers were facing. So it grew out of a need from several of our customers. Mm-hmm. And after we heard that need several times, we thought, well, we need to figure something out because there is an opportunity in the market. We can support our customers, and it's all related in regards to rolling out hardware. Mm-hmm. Could be existing hardware or new hardware in a unified endpoint platform. Yeah. And that's different than enrolling a regular consumer device. And,
so what was the pain then for those customers?
So the pain is the lack of resources, because in a lot of cases where we see that the IT departments are typically understaffed, and then all of a sudden they need to roll out hundreds or thousands of new devices, or existing devices need to be re-enrolled within an environment, and that takes weeks to execute, and it takes weeks to prepare. So it's mainly a skill gap, or not much of a skill gap sometimes in terms of planning and scheduling, but also just like the type of lack of resources mainly. Yeah. And
feet on the street.
That's the main issue in a lot of cases where it needs to be re-enrolled. And what we often see among our customers who we're typically working with for years, that they did it once themselves. And then they figured out, well, trying to enroll 2,000 devices among our employees on several locations is such a heavy pressure on our IT staff. Yeah. We need to figure out to do this with in a different way with a partner, and that's how Connect and Go.
So the moment you need this services, I imagine that it involves switching to new devices, for instance, or something.
It's a combination. Like so it always is in combination with the unified endpoint management platform. Okay. Yeah. And it can either be new devices. So let's say you have a healthcare organization. They were working for years with Samsung devices. They need to be swapped because they got old. And because the customer can get a good deal on purchasing immediately 2,000 devices in bulk, they decide to do that, but they have an IT staff of 4. And then how are you going to enroll all those devices, need to hand them over to their employees. Typically, the business don't want the employees to bother them too much.
No, we also see that it costs a lot of time to set it up yourself.
Yeah, it's a lot of setup, and especially in markets or industries where employees are not that tech savvy. So for instance, healthcare, or if you look at government institutions, sometimes a little bit elderly people, majority of the people are elder as well, struggle a bit more with technology. Yeah. And they're also used to having one-on-one IT support. And the IT staff still wishes to give that support, the business wishes to give them that support, but they're just not able to deliver within a month's time period or within 6 weeks to enroll 6 or 2,000 devices, for instance.
So what would be the minimum number of devices to roll out for such a service?
We've done mini projects of even 150 or 200 devices. Okay. Because there can also be an organization with 200 employees with one IT member that's like the one-man show within the company, and then needs to support 2,200 people, which then as well will take like 2 or 3 weeks of his time within the agenda, and it's just too much time consuming, and then the employee experience won't be the same as if you would outsource it to a specialized partner like ourselves.
Yeah, because probably we'll maybe be able to set up a device in a few minutes, and an employee, based on maybe some documentation, will take an hour to so that's probably the business case.
Well, I think quite if you create a good manual, so making a manual is part of the Connect and Go service, where you take all those mini steps that you have to take, and there are several ways of supporting within the Connect and Go service. So it could be either one-on-one or in a group session,
one-on-one
or remote. Yeah, so people sign up in a planning schedule we've developed.
Yeah.
And they can sign up for a time slot for their team that's being set available by their manager or a department, and they can sign up during several time slots, and they get one-on-one support. They can just walk in, they swap their devices or SIM cards, or get handed over a new device, and we support them within that process, and that can be an Android or an Apple or a laptop from Windows or Mac, doesn't matter, we can support them with all the
it's like a self-planning kind of thing, so the employee can maybe set their own time to pick up the new device and get the training or whatever.
It depends a bit on the organization, so it's a combination. If we're working with group sessions, we typically then the organization determines who's going to show up when at which time. Yeah. And it also depends on the type of work they're doing, if they're able to leave on specific time slots. Yeah. But there's also the option, which majority of the time happens, where they just can send a link by email. They can click on the link, they get the options with several dates and time slots where they can book their appointment for 30 or 60 minutes, depends on the amount of devices we need to swap. And they can show up and we help them out.
That's better than doing 2,000 phone calls to your employees to figure out the
moment
and then
doing
where
it
they
remote or doing it yourself, and then how do you schedule having the 2,000 people getting over? So just the scheduling is already like a process on its own to prepare on such a project.
So what kind of steps do you go through in a Connect and Go project?
Well, you start with project planning. So what type of devices are we going to enroll? Is the UEN setup already correct? So we're not going to stumble upon issues while enrolling the device. Okay. So that's all preparation. Then who gets which device? This is something that the organization we're working with needs to give us insight to, but we need to know who gets which device, what type of SIM card. That's a whole process up front. We make manuals for the different type of devices that are being enrolled. So we have a manual for each device, because it can be completely different also on a similar brand, but then maybe with a different operating system. That whole process can look different. Yeah,
but it also contains then maybe the application that get rolled out as well. And
well, typically it's all automated, right? So we try to prepare everything up front. In a lot of cases, we're also involved in the whole implementation process of the unified endpoint management solution. And we try to automate everything, where the user just needs to fill in their credentials and then make connection with the internet, and then it enrolls. Yeah. And in some cases you do need to do some manual work on the device, and we support them with that process if there are certain applications that can't be auto-enrolled. So by the end of the session with the employee, they walk out the door with a device that's fully managed and that's totally operational to work with. Yeah.
Okay. So, and what kind of organizations would you typically point at for this kind of processes?
Well, all organizations can use this service. So if you're going to roll out new devices in bulk, it's every organization this could be useful to. But in general, we see that organizations that have employees that are used to a lot of support, so like I said, healthcare, government, but also tend to have a understaffed IT department, again, healthcare, government, but we also see, we had some cases within a law firm where they have a very high demanding employee that are pretty expensive. They're billed by every 5 to 6 minutes. They're sending out their bills already.
Shouldn't waste their time on
if they're setting up a device for an hour or for a longer period than necessary, it's a waste of a lot of money. So they wanted it as quick as possible, but also with the best type of support as possible. So,
high quality and fast.
So it really depends on the.
And that's really a business case, because the average rate for a lawyer is probably higher than our rate. So okay. So and a lot of companies are now working from home. So they might people get their devices sent home, and how do we work in those cases?
Well, we also have a remote type of a setup of Connect and Go.
All right.
Especially during COVID, we've done this mainly, where we supported the enrollment of the devices remotely. Everybody got sent a package with a device and a manual in there, a SIM card, screen protector was already on there, cover, but then the device needs to get set up. And again, we used the planning tool, but then for a remote appointment through Teams, and everybody got supported through a Teams call.
Yeah.
And that's the way we did it. What we're also now developing for a customer, and we feel that there might be more interest in this area, is to do this all year long. So the whole employee experience to onboard a new employee. When someone gets new into the office, they get a device, they need to deploy their applications, they might get a smartphone, a laptop, maybe something else, an iPad as well. And we are able to then support them remotely, where we already book an appointment advanced, like the day the new employee starts, and we can support them within an afternoon to set up all their devices. So that's a new type of a service we're now developing within Connect and Go as well.
And I think that really aligns nicely with the workplace portal, where the new employee can log on, select the device he wants, and it gets sent home maybe. And
for sure. Yeah. So with the workplace portal, we've developed the employee can choose their own device, and then gets it sent home as a package. And then as a next step, we help them set it up. So it's like like a complete employee experience in that process.
Perfect onboarding of your new hires, of course. So what is the latest project we've done on Connect and Go? And you have a nice use case for this?
Yeah, I think the past 5 months we finalized on it last month, but we worked on it from the beginning of the year, almost, I think, close to 4 to 5 months. It was the biggest project in terms of complexity so far, with Qbus, a large transportation company in the Netherlands, and they needed to
bus drivers.
The bus drivers were handed out new smartphones and tablets to work with during their shifts, to see their logistics on and some other information the company sends to them. And we had to enroll 3,000 devices spread out over 22 locations in the country. Wow. So in the north, in Groningen, on several locations, in Drenthe, in the east, in the center in the Netherlands, in Utrecht, and in the south in Rotterdam area.
So the problem there was, a lot of logistics and a lot of planning.
Definitely, we used group sessions in this case. So the bus drivers were appointed to certain slots before or after their shift.
Okay, so they were already close to their location. So
because there were 22 locations, it was a bit difficult to just keep the slots open and let them choose whenever they would like to walk in, because there were too many locations and there was a lot of complexity involved. So they had to be there at a certain time slot with the group session, and they got supported through the whole process, and within 30 minutes they walked out the door with a new device that they could use for work.
Okay, that's that was classroom based.
So we had like a room set up with a big screen and a presentation on there, and 10 people at the same time went through that process, and one person of Blauw is then giving the presentation, and someone else is walking around the people if they need any support through. If they're stuck somewhere in the process, they get support one-on-one.
All right, okay. And how many people are in the classroom then? It's like
on average 10 to 12, sometimes 15, but we don't want to make them much bigger, because then there's going to be too much hassle, and so maximum.
You want to give the same quality and attention.
So that's on average.
Okay, but in a half an hour time, you can maybe cover 10, 15 people.
If it's a group session, it takes a bit longer sometimes, because they need to get in, more questions pop up, so it's around 45 minutes, and it also depends. So in this case, it depends on the amount of devices. Do they need to hand over an old device? Do they also get a second laptop? Then it takes a bit longer, but on average, it's in a group session takes an hour. Maximum, but typically we're done a bit faster.
So it's also when there's a swap going on of devices, we take in the devices. It's not
we take them in, we register everything. We can help with the SIM card swap, or if there's no more SIM card physically needed in the device, we take them in as well. We handle that process afterwards if they need to get shredded or something else needs to happen. So the whole process gets handed over. We support the customer in that.
Okay, cool. Wow. Really interesting service and product, I guess. Hopefully this is a useful video.
I hope
Can
so
they
too.
can they find more information on this topic?
Yeah, for sure. If the people go to the website, our website, blauw.com, and look up for a reference case Cubus, they get a video of 3 minutes and more background information around the case. And if they have more information, need more information, just send us a message, and we're willing to have a couple.
We'll try to figure out to put a URL link. Here, exactly
and
here.
Subscribe and like and share with your friends.
Okay. Thanks for talking.
Yeah, welcome.